guys, Vlad Moldavskiy here from MeetAdvisors.com. I'm joined with Daliah Saper from Saper Law. Daliah, how are you today?
Hi, Vlad. Great.
Thanks for joining us. I want to ask you, first and foremost, what does Saper Law do? What do you guys specialize in? Maybe give me a little background about yourself, and we'll kind of open up a dialogue.
Sure. Saper Law is an IP, media, and business law firm. It was founded by yours truly in 2005. We concentrate heavily on three practice areas: intellectual property, media, and business law. And oftentimes that means we're on the transactional side, drafting contracts, licensing agreements, founders agreements, getting your LLC and S-Corp set up. And on the litigation side, handling breach of contract disputes, online reputation management, defamation issues, trade secret misappropriation, trademark copyright issues.
Why, so you started a law firm, obviously with an interesting niche. Why media? Why entertainment? You know, what makes you so excited about it and so passionate? Because not every entrepreneur, not every single attorney can really, at that point, realize, you know, this is an awesome niche. Like, let me get into it. It's very rare to see someone. So maybe just touch on that a little.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, the firm will be 10 years old next year, so we're in our 9th year now. And when I started it, as you can imagine, I wasn't, a gray-haired lawyer in my 50s. I had to really think about what are the areas of law that I can handle, that are interesting to me, and that I think I have an opportunity to grow and expand in. And this is just before social media's explosion, but still where email and internet and digital issues were percolating. It was right after the dot-com bubble and all that. And when I came out of law school, what I said was, well, I love trademarks and copyrights in the advertising scene, and I have some background in that. And I just, instead of, most new lawyers or lawyers who hang a shingle, so to speak, they accept anything that comes in the door. They need clients, and they're desperate to do anything and any kind of client they can get. What I did from the beginning was say, no, I'm going to concentrate in the areas of law that I think I can handle competently, and that I think, again, I can attract clients and do, and again, our motto is be cool by association. So I established the firm to concentrate on that niche to begin with, and then fortuitously, or just because I was in the right place at the right time, Facebook exploded. I mean, I started the firm when Friendster was still popular, and when MySpace was still popular. But, Facebook exploded, and social media and using social media became more important because my clients were asking me about those things, and because I heavily relied on social media to just build my own brand and build my practice. The convergence of both those things allowed me to now have the practice I do. When someone has downloaded pornography using a BitTorrent network, right, or files, and they get sued, I don't think their local divorce lawyer or personal injury lawyer will have any clue what BitTorrent really is, and that you could even get sued for sharing, pornography, for example. So
I don't mean to cut you off, but here's a interesting question I have. So obviously before we got on camera, we were having little discussions here at MeetAdvisors, and one of the things that we spoke about very briefly was how intellectual property is coming into play with digital, digital media, digital marketing, YouTube, Google, with SEO changing so much. Like, you mind touching a little bit on what people should look out for, and how you guys can help, and in general, just like what kind of trends have you seen? Really, just educate our audience, because a lot of people don't really realize that there are so many things that people can be doing on the internet, especially related to this, market, that they could really be doing wrong.
Well, I think the first step is to educate business owners on what intellectual property is, so that they can really take stock of their assets. What is a patent versus a trademark versus a copyright? I can't tell you how many phone calls I get where people ask, how do I patent my trademark or copyright my, they interchange those words. They're very distinct areas of law, and as it relates to the internet and your online presence, they afford you different legal rights. Copyrights would protect your website content, the look and feel of your site, the code that's backing up your properties, your photographs. All of those things are subject to copyright protection, and if they're misappropriated or used without your permission, or on the other end, if you're taking other people's photographs and using them on your website, the other people's content, mashing it up or referencing it, the exposure can be great, since copyright infringement on these new platforms, these new media, is a real issue and one we deal with regularly in our firm. On the trademark and branding end of things, you need to really decide whether the domain names that you have are serving as source identifiers or just your brand itself. Is it protected from competitors using it in Google AdWords, for example, on social media sites? We deal a lot with competitors going out and not only domain name squatting, which was very much a thing back 10 years ago. Now it's username squatting. So people are going out and buying big brands' names not buying, registering them on the various social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Google+, so that when they go to secure their online presence on social media platforms, they're now having to get the unauthorized ones removed and taking the steps to do that. So, to recap, just take stock of what it is that you have, understand the different rights associated with trademarks versus copyrights, and be proactive in enforcing and protecting those rights online.
Here's an interesting question I have. Can you think of any examples specifically related to you working with a client, obviously no names disclosed, or something just in the news where copyright was a big issue on the internet?
Sure, we just did an article on the selfie taken at the Oscars by Ellen DeGeneres, and it went, it exploded. Everyone was tweeting it, and the question there was, for example, who owns the picture that's taken by that camera that's now popular? And we talk a lot about joint works and who owns the actual property that people are claiming copyright in. A business-related example, I'm going to try to think of one, would be this work-for-hire concept. Many people hire bloggers or third parties to develop work for them without an agreement. There's a handshake deal, or they feel that since they paid for the work that it's theirs, and that's not the reality. Copyright law states that only the employee or the person who signed a contract with the vendor, the third party, owns the work for copyright purposes. So you're left with a situation where you've paid, let's say, $1 million for someone to draft content for you, and that person repurposes that content for another client or takes it and posts it elsewhere. And we have to explain, well, without a contract, you only had an implied license to use that work for your site. You couldn't prevent the vendor, the ad agency, whoever it is, from repurposing that content elsewhere.
So you talked a little about the selfie, and I kind of want to go back to
Yeah.
that because I was really excited about it and I shared it. So I own a website and I share that image, that original image on my blog. Am I allowed to do that? Because I actually, right now, hearing for the first time, it's, that selfie, so many different people are sharing it. Like, how does that
So this is a nuance, right? If you take that picture and you take a copy of it and you save it on your computer and then you upload it, you're technically infringing on the debate was who owns the image, but let's say it was Bradley Cooper. You're technically infringing on Bradley Cooper's rights, copyrights. If you're linking to the image, that's okay. Linking is, unless you're linking to infringing content, which is a topic that's too complicated for this interview, the general rule is it's a safe bet to link to information or embed it, since embedding is essentially linking. But it is not okay to download it and then re-upload it. That's considered a new copy, and only the copyright owner has the right to do that.
So here's one thing I like to ask the entrepreneurs that come by MeetAdvisors.com is, what's one piece of advice you would give to our community? But with you, I want to do a little different. What's one piece of advice you would give to an entrepreneur in relation to intellectual property?
Okay, I think it's really, and I know you've probably heard this many times, is that it is important to talk to an attorney from the outset so that you understand what you don't know that you need to understand. A lot of the problems are people don't know that this is an area of law that they have to be worried about. They spend so much energy on the founders' agreements and getting corporate structure correct, and then they just jump into the development of whatever the product is. And they usually use independent contractors, they use third-party vendors, and then the intellectual property issue becomes really messy. Partners leave, vendors leave, there's disputes, and now you have a big mess, which your whole company is founded on developing this product, this digital product, usually, but no real understanding of the ownership. So best advice is, first of all, educate yourself on what IP means for your company. Is it a patent that's important? Is it a trademark? Is it a copyright? And once you've identified what what your digital or IP assets are, make sure you're taking the right steps to protect them, whether it's through registrations, whether it's through contracts, and on an ongoing basis through enforcement.
Daliah, what's your website?
Saperlaw.com.
Guys, check out saperlaw.com and check out MeetAdvisors.com for more videos and blogs. Thanks for watching. Daliah, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Vlad.